Welcome to the past, where you'll get information related to sports, video games, technology, music, and our all-time favorite ass of the week. Episode 197 of the past is here. What is going on, y'all? I'm your host, BT. I hope everyone's had an excellent week. I want to make sure that I come back, hit you all with excellent, top-notch, high-quality content. As I always start off, hope everyone's doing well. We're not going to really waste a lot of time. There are a lot of topics to get into, and there's, I'm always wanting to make sure that I'm a man of my word, because I know usually shows have been kind of flip-flopping on what day I'll be recording. There have been some changes for me personally. I'm working again. So with me working, it's kind of a matter of when I'm able to work, when I'm free to record, all of those things factoring into the equation of when I'll be able to podcast. So that's why a lot of times, normally you'll get shows on Saturdays. Lately it's been Mondays, because usually on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm kind of unwinding or just doing different activities. So I don't want you all to think that I'm just out here willy-nilly just recording when I feel like it, because that's not a good show, and that's not good content for you all as listeners. So I did want to at least get that off my chest and out of the way before we get started. As we do each week, I will go ahead and get into the angel number, which is 197. So the angel number 197 is made up of numbers 1, 9, and 7. Number 1 is the number that shows the beginning of something new. It represents all those new ideas that are bubbling within you. Do not hesitate to try them out. Do not hold yourself back. Move forth with courage and strong conviction that you will succeed. Your angel numbers see qualities in you that will assist you with this. Qualities like your strong willpower, your inner strength, and the ability you weld to create something new will help you. Number 9 is the number of finality or finality. It denotes an end to a particular situation or condition. Your destiny path is narrow. Some of the things you are doing currently cannot fit in this path. This means that you will be required to let go of some things you might currently think they are okay. Letting go is part of the growth, as it creates space to be filled by the things that matter in your life. Number 7 is the number of completeness. It is a number that allows wholeness. It is why number 7 appears at the end of this series. Angel number 197 meaning shows that after starting out new projects and letting go of situations that do not build you, your life will be streamlined to your destiny path and begin growing to reach wholeness. So I hope y'all like, and I want input and feedback on this past podcast, bt@gmail.com, because I do share these each week, and I want to make sure if they're helping you, if they're just a waste of time. I want to know and get an idea of how you all feel about it. I like doing this because it is kind of a way to uplift and get things going before we go into like crazy anonymous topics that just kind of hit from kind of blind left to right field. But this week, no exception. Just putting yourself in the right place around the right people. Sometimes you find yourself letting folks go, or people find themselves leaving you, and you just kind of got to let it be what it is. And a lot of times the hardest part about that is not taking it as to heart as you would naturally be used to doing, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my way of saying, just, deal with those who deal with you. And if people still hang around, great. If folks are gone, they're gone. You can't. I think sometimes we spend more energy on wanting people to stay or be a part of our lives or be a part of our routine, when in reality, if it's not time, it's not time. Like, people sometimes are let go without being known. So that's kind of the overall absorption or understanding of what I gathered from this week's angel number. So we always do each episode. First story up at hand, we have a champion, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna come clean. France was the last team I expected to win. So I'll give kind of a backstory as to how we got here, because I know we did kind of go through a couple of games and boom, we were at the World Cup. So a couple of days back, France and Belgium played against each other. France won 1-0, which put them in as the first team to be part of the World Cup. And then Croatia played England. Now, Croatia against England was a big matchup, as many people already know. The reason why is because there was no set position or set placing as to what team we were going to get. If you go back and really look at Croatia's gameplay, Croatia played against Denmark. It went to penalties. They played against Russia. It went to penalties. It was like they won, it was a draw going into the penalty status. And in most cases, it was just kind of a back and forth on penalty kicks. This case, Croatia was able to just kind of come out. They outplayed England from the pitch. And that's just all you can ask for in any soccer match. So that then put Belgium and England into the third place match, which Belgium pretty much had that game. It was theirs to kind of run away with from the beginning. We did get some news, and we'll talk about another transaction later, but we did get news that Thibaut Courtois is actually going to leave Chelsea, which he decided after the World Cup match, and he's going to Real Madrid. And Hazard is kind of in talks of going to Real Madrid, but they hasn't been solidified yet. And also to confirm and just to kind of put, I want to say, ease to the conversation. Not Ronaldo. What's his name? I'm literally drawing a blank. Not Ronaldo. Who am I? I'm sitting here in my brain. Know who? Oh, Chelsea has finally made their decision. So this is kind of, I guess you can call this a Chelsea beat, right? Real quick. Chelsea did go ahead and decide to part ways with Conte, which it was kind of seen. It was just a matter of when and kind of putting their successor in place afterward. Because I think they wanted to make sure they had the successor's deal locked up before they decide to go out with the old and in with the new. So the third place match, Belgium did come in third. For the actual World Cup championship, I watched that game. Now, I'm not gonna, as I try my hardest to do, I'm not gonna be overly long-winded. I can't make any promises, but I'll be 100% honest. Croatia pushed France, but France was already ready to play from the pitch. They came out early on. There was a questionable penalty that was called, which generated to France getting a free kick. France got the free kick, and there was I believe it was a handball. There were so many odd plays and just unexpected play. Well, okay, I take that back. Handball was later on. France went for the penalty, and of all the goals that were scored, the goal was scored as an own goal by Croatia. So Croatia's down 1-0. Couple minutes pass, Croatia gets down the field, they score. It's tied up 1 apiece. Croatia then puts themselves into that risky situation of there was a penalty or a play that happened later on where the ball went into the box. One of the Croatian players went for the ball, was trying to kick it. It was a handball. Was not called initially. Went to VAR, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And VAR was able to confirm that it was indeed a penalty. It was a handball, which gave France a penalty kick. They converted on the penalty kick, puts them ahead 2-1. Second half, Pogba scores, and then Mbappe scores. By then, it's 4-1. You can kind of forget it. You can stick a fork in it. It was done and over with. Croatia did get a late score, and it was ironic because it was from the same player who got an own goal earlier, who got the initial own goal for France. So this final score was 4-2. France is your World Cup champion. I got nothing but love for France with winning this because I feel like France kind of played consistently from from the knockout stages. They were, well, let me go back. From group stages, they only had one match that was a draw. And that match drew 0-0. But other than that, majority of, if not all of their matches were pretty much just, I mean, they were very coast based matches under their measurement, if that's a good way to put it. I want to make sure I'm in the correct group, because their group was pretty chilled too. They were in Group C. Yeah, their draw actually was with Denmark. And Denmark made it to the knockout stage, but they got knocked out, obviously, by Croatia. So that kind of puts it in a more perspective of the overall status of them winning. So now we're already thinking of 2022 World Cup. Is France the favorite? It's early. The disadvantage with soccer, as we all know, is that teams do great when they win the year of, but that following 4-year stint, it's usually not the same. And we learned that this year, obviously, with Germany. Germany came in as the high favorite, and Germany didn't even get out of the group stage. So just let that sink in. So that's kind of my A to Z on FIFA. We're going to get back to soccer later on. I've given you a couple of quick stories and quick hits that have happened already. And it's ironic because Mbappe was the big guy and the star of the show. The ironic part is he plays for PSG, and one of his teammates is Neymar, who was with Brazil. So those of you who know soccer and understand that reference, just let it marinate. I always return each week to give you all, as I love to call it, the Big Three update. And Big Three this past week, wow. Trilogy finally got over the hump. They did get their first win. They played the Killer Threes. Steven Jackson played a good game, but I feel like it was the thing that I'm watching, and I've talked about this week after week with them, is that the Killer Threes are going, I mean, the Trilogy is going to play bully ball, but it's bully ball mostly with Al Harrington. James White will bully a little bit, but Dion Glover is more of a guard. He can't run and do but so much. McCants is just big. And I'm trying to think back when he was at North Carolina if that was similar, but I guess it was. I don't know. Continuing with the matches, Three's Company did beat Ball Hogs. They're kind of in a struggle right now. And the game of the night, personally for me, was Tri-State against Three-Headed Monsters. Both teams were 3-0 coming into this match. Three-Headed Monsters were able to get the W. It came at a very tough cost because Tri-State, Nate Robinson got ejected. And earlier in one of the other matches with the Killer Threes, Ron Artest got ejected. His ejection was ironic, and forgive me for sounding this way because I just go by what I see, and it's just calling a spade a spade. They were in Detroit. Anyone who remembers Ron Artest, whether you want to call him Meta World Peace, whatever nickname reference you want to go with, your preference, I'm not going to knock it. We all know and remember him from Malice in the Palace from many years ago. And they were playing in Detroit. I think there was a call that he didn't agree with. He decides to punt the ball into the crowd. I'm not sure if he already had a tech or not, but he was ejected. And after that, I mean, it was pretty much, it was all, I mean, Trilogy just kind of did what they did. Because Ron Artest was that, I mean, if you look at it, each team has someone who can go body for body with Al Harrington, but Al Harrington can't do it all. And we're going to see that as the season progresses. So I always, as I share, I always like to give you all the Big Three update. And like I said, Tri-State, it was close. Nate Robinson had gotten a tech early on. I think him and the referee just didn't get along during that game because that same referee gave him both technicals. When he got the second one, it was kind of unexpected, but it was what it was. I will admit, seeing him and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf go at it was great because Nate Robinson's not that old, And literally, Mahmoud Rauf is an OG in basketball. Anyone who's watched basketball now would have absolutely no idea who he is. So that just kind of puts it all in perspective overall. Ghost Ballers struggled against Power. Power's kind of that under the radar team that can play. You have Big Baby, you have Catino Mobley, Corey Maggette. Like, those guys are going to bring it each night. So we'll really be keeping an eye with them. Like I said, they did lose last week to the Three-Headed Monsters, but that was a battle of unbeatens as well. So they're currently 3-1 and up. Like I said, if I remember correctly, Ghost Ballers is currently 0-4. So those are our, as I'll do each week, that's our big three update in discussing that whole rundown. So sticking to basketball, I said before that I'm not going to talk much about JBA. I'm going to try my best to not put a lot of personal into this, but I'm going to talk so y'all know me. But LiAngelo Ball has been forced to eat his words, or he was forced to eat his words. He did decide to play in the Junior Basketball Association League. He was offered, he worked out with multiple teams during the NBA draft, and he's now going to be playing in the JBA. He played his first game last Friday, if I recall correctly. The PR, the release says LiAngelo Ball will indeed play in the league started by his dad, LeVar Ball. He will also play on the Los Angeles Ballers team with his brother LaMelo. No surprise there. LiAngelo gave in his release, I just want to win for the team. That's all I want to do, win. I'm trying to play ball and I'm trying to get better every day. The announcement broke on, so he played, the game he played in, was on Thursday. So the first game he was in was that Thursday against, they don't show the team on this specific one. At age 19, Ball was not selected in the 2018 draft, nor did he sign with a summer league team. Weeks ago, Ball said he was not going to play in the JBA. He said, then I feel like that's taking a step back for me. If I have to play in the G League, then that's what it's going to be. I'm not running away from the work. His position or his stature is he's a shooter, 6'5". They assigned him to the scholarship, or they provided a scholarship with UCLA. He played with the Bruins, and if any of you may or may not remember, he was involved in a situation in China where he was part of a shoplifting situation. I go back to this and I say this, him going back to them deciding to play in Lithuania was not the best career or the best draft resume pull for LiAngelo. Now, I'm gonna talk about JBA on the rough side in a moment, but I'm gonna bring up some as I try my best to do. I'm gonna bring some light to some things. So LiAngelo played his first game on Thursday. Him and LaMelo played together. They both got a triple-double. LiAngelo had 53 in his triple-double, and I think LaMelo had 20-something in his. So you look at it as those two players scored 70-something points by themselves. The team as a whole scored about 150 and 160 points. It's safe to say with the JBA, you're not going to see much defense. I'm going to be honest. And then two, I feel personally that fatigue is going to play a factor into what we're seeing with a lot of the games. So that's one assessment that I have. Now, the second assessment, and I've sent this tweet personally to the JBA, whether they respond or not, personally don't care. And I'm going to talk about this and then I'll talk about the other incident. The league has been going on now for about, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks. We get statistics. The statistics have been updated because I talked bad and horrible about it. Props to FIBA for that. FIBA has been able to kind of connect with the JBA on getting that solidified. Now the problem is we are in a stance of We don't know what anybody's record is. I have no idea what any of these teams' records are. There was a game that came on and they said the team was undefeated. We didn't know how many games they won, but we just know they're undefeated. The other part of the story that I'm going to get into because I can and because it's relevant is what line is too far to cross. As a athlete, as a coach, as a mentor, you have to know your role. And from looking at the situation that recently transpired that they did not want to get out in the media, but it's hard to not do so when people have cell phones, involved a coach of one of the teams. I won't disclose because I'm not going to give, I'm giving this story attention, but I'm giving it attention in its own matter. You know what? Fuck it. This story involves the Chicago Ballers coach and one of the players for the Chicago Ballers. I don't have his name specifically because the article was shared with me about this, and I kind of had a little bit of information related to this, but I'll just kind of talk about it and ramble a little bit. So I think it was during the timeout, he came over to the bench and the coach is kind of giving him like a pep talk, but he was also talking to him as far as like using his fist to kind of punch him in the chest to get his point across. Okay, yeah, that happens in things spur of the moment, momentum, whatever. But there was another timeout where they showed the actual coach headbutting the player. Not necessary, not relevant. It was no benefit in doing that. I think what makes this situation bad is it happened. There was no media attention behind it, but then it's ironic because there was no disciplinary action involved in this because LeVar is at every game. And that doesn't look good for your league. And it's tough because here it is. This is your inaugural season. Your inaugural season, you want to come out and look as good as you can. People can say whatever they want. They can say they're not a big fan of it. The WNBA has been running and long intact for nearly, if not over 20 years. There's a reason for that. They have maintained and upheld their brand and upheld their style and their way of play. JBA, if it makes 3 years, I'd be shocked. And I'm not, I know each week I've tried, and like last week I was like, I'm not going to say much. And I was good. But this story, I didn't want to go unnoticed or not be addressed. So I'm addressing it now. One other basketball story, don't have a tab for it, but I'll talk about it now. There were a couple of big free agent conversations that have transpired. I'm not sure if I talked about this already. Tony Parker has left San Antonio. He will be going he did go to the Charlotte Hornets. LeBron officially signed his deal. I don't recall seeing DeMarcus sign his deal. He may have. It may not have gotten like a major media attention. Jabari Parker did sign to Chicago. Whether people think about it or not, I really don't realize it. Him going back to Chicago or him going to Chicago is good for him strictly because he's from Chicago. He played at Simeon High School, and I mean, that was what kind of catapulted him and got him to Duke. So that move was right on time and it worked for him. It just hit at the right point. So that's my basketball stories and that's my rundown. Going to hop back into soccer a little bit. As many of you may or may not be aware, Cristiano Ronaldo, there was talks of whether he would be staying with Real Madrid. Well, those talks did get confirmed for us last week. He did indeed decide to go to Juventus. Juventus is the top team in Serie A. His contract is going to be for 2 years. It's going to be 12 million euros, and it's for a 4-year deal. He is 33 years old, and he has won 4 Champions League titles with Real. His announcement, he stated, "The time has come to open a new stage in my life. That's why I asked the club to accept transferring me." So he did indeed reach that deal based on the transfer. Now, I'm not going to really give an A to Z story or talk about this very much, but I'm going to say this and I'm going to kind of chew this up a little bit. This move kind of was seen only because if you think of what happened after they won after they won the Champions League this past, like just recently against Liverpool, the writing was there. It was just a matter of it actually happening. And when the coach left, that was a sure sign that changes are going to come, and changes have came. And I think this was a big change that no one expected, but also I'm not saying it's a challenge for Ronaldo, but I think it's a new start for Ronaldo. I mean, Ronaldo's 33, so he's in that not young, but not old stage in soccer or age in soccer. Like, soccer has like levels, and I'll talk about this briefly, but not go way overboard with it because I could. When you first are looking to play soccer, you go through what's known as the academy, where you'll play like under 17, you'll play youth soccer, and you kind of look at soccer if it's something you want to do. Okay, cool. If not, hey, I put a little bit of money into it and you did the academy, but it's not your thing, or you didn't make the cut for it. If you get good and you play decent, you usually are sent to like the same teams, like their actual official team. And you may not start right away, but you'll be in the lineup. As games progress and as the season progresses, you make that decision or that choice and say, hey, or the coach says, hey, I think this guy is ready. Let's go ahead and give him a start. So they usually will give you the start, or they'll give you let me take that back, not a start, but they'll give you a chance to play. So you may get a second half, run, sprint, whatever. In that period, if you show up and it looks good, then you blend in, you start to get into rotation of being a starter. So as you play for it, if you went through that with a team, now I'm not saying that Ronaldo's personally done this, because Ronaldo, if you look at his resume and as far as his teams, he played for quite a few teams, but it's also been him kind of just controlling his destiny too. So this move is not a surprise, if you really look at soccer, this is just him being him. So I'm looking forward to, him playing in Juventus. I'm not going to lie, as an AC Milan fan, I'm not excited because I don't want to say it's 2 L's, but it's going to be 2 tough games to play because of anytime you're playing against a team that has Ronaldo on the other side, you're going to have to play a 100% perfect game. So that's all I have for sports this week. Le'Veon Bell. There's talk and there's discussion that this will possibly be his last year with Pittsburgh because they're not able to come to terms on a contract. I don't know, and I'm not being the bad guy. I really don't know the future of the length of his career in football, period. Because running backs always have varied careers when it comes to how many years they play or how long they play in the sport. So we'll go into our stuff. This is our segue, as I always do. If you are a sports fan and you only wanted sports, you can come back later. I have a couple sports stories. I got a very special ad of the week because I don't have the article. I'm going to probably find a way to throw it into the mix while I'm talking about this. But we're in our stuff, and stuff, as any of you may or may not know, can go any direction. And this week is no exception. The first story we have is related to Starbucks and McDonald's. They are getting ready to remove the plastic straw. And I hope nobody is upset because it is something that is a big deal to some people, and to others, it may be the most irrelevant thing in the world. Plastic straws have become the target of environmental efforts to battle climate change, waste, and ocean debris. Starbucks plans to do away with plastic straws by 2020, which could benefit the environment as well as drive millennial customers into their facility. The coffee company announced that it will phase out plastic straws at its 28,000 plus global stores by 2020, which is a plan aimed at eliminating more than 1 billion straws a year. The need for an alternative to plastic straws grew as the sales of cold beverages has risen up to more than the 50% of sales from 37% of sales 5 years ago. Straws will be replaced by a lid developed by Emily Alexander, an engineer in global research and development at the company. The lids are being used for a few drinks, including the Draft Nitro in more than 8,000 stores in US and Canada. Starbucks is saying that the lids will become standard for all iced drinks except for Frappuccinos, which will be served with straws made from paper. Compostable plastic or another sustainable material. Customers can request a straw for other drinks. And they just go into more info.
Picking the right style takes time.
That just kind of blew me. Just gonna close that because that caught me way off guard. I was like, where did that come from? I don't own the rights to that music, and we're just gonna continue. But I want to say this: it's changed, and everyone's about doing whatever they can for the environment or for the global well-being. So I'm not really in a bad or a good place with this. I think it's great. I mean, I know I'm guilty of usually buying mostly cold. I'm a cold beverage drinker year round. It's not really like, oh, it's cold, let me go buy a hot coffee. Rare. I usually am still getting the Java Bean mocha most of the time. So it's not going to really be an impact one way or the other on my end. I know a lot of people may not like the new change, but sometimes change never hurts. And just like anything else, going back to technology with the iPhones, people complained about it, but after a while they got over it and people still use their devices. So what can you do? This is right there with Toys R Us, with the nostalgic feeling. Anyone who was a lover or a user of Blockbuster has good news, but bad news. The good news is that there's one store remaining. The bad news is that it's in Oregon. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing because it's in Oregon. I'm just saying it's bad because unless you live in Oregon or near Oregon, let alone if you even use or utilize any Blockbuster related purpose or whatever, then this will be tough to accept. We're at a point where people are streaming. We all stream content. And I don't want to just say music because obviously I'm not talking about music. We stream movies, Hulu, and before I go remove Hulu, we have various streaming services. I don't need to name them all for their various purposes that do their various tasks. Matter of fact, I mean, I can talk about this from a podcasting perspective. Some people download podcasts to have on their device. Most people, if they have a data service or if they're on Wi-Fi, they just go ahead and pull up their device, stream it, and listen to that podcast. Or they go to other sources and pull down those same sources or those same shows or entertaining options. So to get to this point where, and this is even down to gaming, like I've had a conversation and I've been indifferent about it because I'm not gonna lie, I'm weird and I'm different to the point where I still buy physical games for my console. I know in a couple years that will have to be something I bend and accept. It's time to let go, but it's also the price factors as to why that's just me being me. So I talked about this last week as far as with Best Buy. This is something we're seeing now because if you look at it in a store such as a Blockbuster was known for VHS, DVDs. They may have Blu-rays. I don't know. But there were two stores that were remaining, which was one in Anchorage and another one was in Fairbanks, both in Alaska. They had closed actually on yesterday. And that's, tough change. Sandy Harding, who was the store manager in Bend, said that she's surprised that her store is still open. They give a little bit of information. Ben's Blockbuster looks just like stores from years ago. Yellow on the inside and employees sporting blue shirts. They even have floppy disks and old computer systems. So let that sink in. If you were born in the 90s or in 2000s, you have no idea what either of those things are. Computer systems, y'all use tablets. After Sunday, the video store in Bend, Oregon will be the last remaining Blockbuster in the U.S. It's very nostalgic. We have a bunch of 19-year-olds working here. It's fun explaining to them what a floppy disk is. And this is the owner who is speaking about this. The shelves are stacked with movies ranging from titles as old as Citizen Kane to as new as The Quiet Place, which was just recently released. I'm so sorry. Y'all know I'm not really too fidgety if I'll have to be. Every Tuesday morning, Hardy buys the newest titles to stock the store. She goes out at 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning, buying the new movies, getting what people want, trying to stay relevant and keep the customers happy. She said loyal customers and tourists have helped her keep the store open. Daily, they have people coming and going, and they'll be surprised because it's still a Blockbuster that's still open. And they're looking to try and stay around. They have licensing agreements and and leases, but there are no plans of closing at this time. They did give a little bit of information about the previous store in Alaska, give you a little bit of a rewind of kind of like the involvement and transition of of Blockbuster, and just kind of said Blockbuster gave in and declared bankruptcy in 2010, and its remaining 1,700 stores were bought by Dish Network in 2011. So there's your nostalgic spin. After that, things kept going downhill. In 2013, the store said it would shut down 300 stores and cut 3,000 jobs. The remaining Alaska stores will officially shut their doors for good. That was on yesterday, but they will be open Monday for inventory sales that will run through July and August. So tough thing to see go, but it's also one of those reality checks of, hey, we're at that point where, I mean, they're holding, and if you look at it, their factors, they're holding on with, kind of latest DVDs, but also kind of keeping that retro and nostalgic tech that some people may want to go in, because you might have that one person who wants to look for or find Oregon Trail. Just gonna be quiet because that's random and left field. So if you have no idea what Oregon Trail is, Google it. And if you've never heard of what the word dysentery is, if you know the term, you'll really understand the origin much clearer based on Oregon Trail, because it was used in that game. Retro, just tying it into the floppy disk reference. But moving forward, Fortnite had an update. To some people, it's like, oh Lord, again. To some people, it's when is the official game coming out? To others, it's a new look. Let's see what they're doing. So Fortnite has given a couple of new things. Now, on the small stuff that I've seen, the visual is a lot different, which I'm okay with that. When you win, as far as victories, it has a different look and feel to it. I believe in season 4, we got the Thanos view, which was very massive for a lot of players who were playing. But the new things that came in were temporal rifts, golf carts, and new locations. The Rocket has brought some big changes to the ever-loving world of Fortnite. They made their 5th season. It's the 5th season for the Battle Royale game, which follows a one-time rocket launch event that added a huge crack in the sky and plenty of unfolding mysteries to solve. You walk through the game. If you look in the sky, you'll see this exact crack that this part refers to. There are 4-person golf carts. Which are the first vehicles in the game. We had the shopping carts before. As for the rifts that appear out through the map, they're interactive. Jump in one and it will teleport you to a different point on the map where you can parachute back down to the ground. There are changes to the map itself. Moisty Mire has been replaced entirely and is now a desert outpost region, while a golf course has also been added. Meanwhile, in keeping in time with the travel theme, there are now ancient objects littered across the map, including statuses like a Viking ship. Here's what the map looks like. They show you a view of the map. Tomato Town is still in mix. The new season, and I'm trying to think what is the one that everybody talks about all the time, because I have not played. I have Fortnite, but I haven't played it that much. But there's one part of the map that everybody knows about, and it's not on here. I'm sorry. Wait, my bad. Shows how much I'm paying attention. Tilted Towers, hashtag still there. It's not going anywhere. The new season also means a new battle pass, which includes new unlockables and challenges, and the option to play golf or basketball with friends. They give you a video for that. There's a handful of other miscellaneous updates that will be coming from the patch notes as well. Nintendo Switch is going to be supporting gyro controls, and you can anyone who plays Save the World or co-op or plays the Save the World co-op mode. There is a Western themed storyline, and they give you more details about that on Epic Games. So those of you who are Fortnite fans, those are your updates that have come. If you haven't already gotten them, or if you haven't already been playing, that's kind of as I would like to put it, the Fortnite facelift. All right, this is a weird story, but I found it, so I'm gonna talk about it, and it's just amazing how the internet moves. There were 350,000 users who were banned on Reddit due to a joke that went wrong. Reddit's largest role-playing campaign, brought together by adoration for a meme that should have died off weeks ago, came to an end in the wee hours of Tuesday morning. The story was written back on the 11th. Company administrators, I'm sorry, not the 11th, on the 11th, last Wednesday. Company administrators and the moderators behind r/Thanos did nothing wrong, a subreddit dedicated to Thanos, managed to successfully ban half of the subreddit's members. More than 300,000 users were banned, and more than 40,000 people tuned into the snapping process on Twitch to participate in the event. Reddit, Marvel Studios, and Marvel itself all tweeted about the ban, blasting the news to millions of followers. It was a momentous occasion and one that clearly caught everyone's attention, but not everything went according to plan. A list of questions over what happens next now linger over the subreddit. So they show a stream snippet from Reddit's Twitch page, because Reddit has a Twitch page, which I didn't even know about. And it shows a clip from them actually having those people banned from Reddit. Changes are already, and they didn't go into changes are already happening. The Jedi Master, who is one of the moderators at the forefront of the mission to ban half of the subreddit users, announced he was stepping down following the event. A popular Reddit user, which is N1407, finished his 6-part series, Reddit Banfinity Ward, which is a hefty re-edit of certain Avengers Infinity War scenes set to focus on the impeding ban. Most importantly, there was cause for concern that not everyone was going to participate in the banning rules, which stated that those who are banned must unsubscribe from Reddit to ensure that the number of subscribers reflects the ban. And they go into more detail about the ban, and they kind of make some mockery about the fact that before the ban and after the ban, it would be the same amount. It's a weird situation that this occurred. I'm not really calling this ass of the week. I'm just calling this like a stuff that could have been ass of the week, because it was kind of stupid, but shit happens. But Reddit was able to get all those people banned. And if you go in, they actually have a video that shows them getting banned. So you can find that on Twitch's. If you go to Twitch's Reddit page on Twitch, you'll find the actual Reddit clip that shows all of the users who were banned from Twitch. Who were banned from Reddit. And I know it was like, I'm confusing myself trying to explain it, but I think I got it. All right. So our next story is what I like to call 6 degrees of separation. And I'm not going to explain the full 6 degrees of separation. I'm just going to kind of explain everything and give it to you full circle. Because when business is not agreed upon, changes are made. Many of you all who use Twitch may or may not be aware that if you have an Amazon Prime account, You can link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch and use your Amazon Prime account or your Amazon Prime membership as a perk to sub to a Twitch streamer and not pay, because that's the agreement, or that was part of one of many agreements that lingered thanks to Amazon and Twitch merging. Before Twitch and Amazon became a thing, there was another big company who was trying to get Twitch. The name of that company, as many of you obviously know of and use, is Google. Google made a $1 billion deal to Twitch. Twitch said, thanks, we're good. They went with Amazon. It was a slightly lesser deal. It was a $900-something million deal, slightly lesser, I know, right? And Google kind of got in their feelings about it. So you fast forward. Now, that was in 2014 when that acquisition happened. And here we are, 2018, and YouTube has decided to terminate anyone's account who makes any promotion or makes any reference to Twitch streams. Now, the policy had already been in place, but there wasn't any warning or anything addressed about this. So the fight between, and they start off right out the bat, the fight between YouTube and Twitch just got a little uglier. Now, before I read this, I want to explain to you something. And I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I'm going to make a point when I explain this. Twitch and YouTube being in the same umbrella would not have been the best idea. I know a lot of people would be like, no, that actually wouldn't be too bad. Think about it. Twitch is then falling under the umbrella of any other programs who are similar, where if you sign in or use it, you have to sign into Google. So it's got to be linked to your Google account, which a lot of people don't use or even have Gmail or Google accounts to begin with. So there's that factor. Then there's also the simple fact of, if you look at streaming options, that means that you're only going to be under the Twitch window or the YouTube window, whichever one would have been what the main option would be, because you're not going to have both Twitch and YouTube both running, even with the acquisition. Because as of right now, as far as streaming services go, you have mainly 5. I was ready to say 4, but it's 5 that I can think of offhand. There's Twitter. There's Facebook. There's 6. There's Twitter. There's Facebook. There's YouTube. There's Twitch. There's Mixer. And if you want to be reckless and kind of throw them in as a wild card, we'll say IGTV, since that's the new thing that a lot of people are doing. Now, granted, IGTV is pre-recorded, but you get my drift. But the battle between YouTube and Twitch just got into a whole nother echelon. Producers like Linus Tech Tips, Cerny, and Astro Zizit have complained that YouTube abruptly, though temporarily, terminated their accounts for using videos to promote their Twitch streams, such as LTT's The WAN Show. It's not that the videos weren't violating rules. The site has long forbidden videos that primarily drive people off of YouTube. Rather, it's that YouTube is only enforcing the rules for videos promoting Twitch streams, and that it's being unusually aggressive. It immediately terminated accounts instead of issuing strikes. This is oddly harsh when the company has been softer on channels that have done much worse, such as pushing false conspiracies that could lead to harassment and threats. YouTube didn't directly address the inconsistencies in enforcement when both Engadget and Polygon asked about these terminations. Instead, it directed concerned people to Twitter posts maintaining that you can absolutely produce videos promoting Twitch, and there's quote unquote no new enforcement. The statements are problematic, however. The company didn't outline what it would consider an acceptable promotion of Twitch. And when it says enforcement hasn't changed, well, there are good reasons to be skeptical. And then they go into a little bit more. The channels in question are back in action. However, the terminations are bound to raise concerns that YouTube is singling out Twitch promotions to hurt a competitor with an increasing amount of overlap. With YouTube diving deeper into gaming and Twitch encouraging non-gaming content, there's a real chance some users may drift away. Not all allegations of a crackdown are likely to help YouTube's reputation. So as I mentioned earlier, YouTube and Twitch, not the best of friends. They're trying to separate themselves, which is not hard to do, but it's a challenge when you're offering similar services. Now let's be real and be upfront. You cannot go to Twitch and watch music videos. You can go to Twitch and see people perform music. You can go to Twitch and see people do in real life streams. People do in real life streams on YouTube as well. They're called vlogs. Not putting one against the other, but just presenting to you the apples and oranges reference and why this is such a big, why YouTube is being such a dick and being kind of stringent on this now. I don't really see where YouTube is wrong, but I also feel like YouTube should have gotten on this earlier, along with the fact that banning someone from the site is not really how it should have been done. You can always just address with those, especially if these are YouTube subscribers, or these are not subscribers, but these are content creators who have hundreds, if not millions of subscribers. Because and the metrics on both parties are night and day. Let me put that in your head so I can get you to understand. On Twitch, you get followers and you get subscribers. Okay? Subscribers are people who pay. Followers are just people who they could be lurking, they could be on your stream just to kind of view and support and do, donate as they please. YouTube, you go to somebody's page, okay, I want to see more content from them, you hit subscribe. That's just increasing their numbers. But as we know with most businesses, bigger businesses aren't going to really give you the real numbers or the bottom line. And in some instances, because it's a business-based situation, they're not obligated to. I know I'm probably flying and I'm running a little bit over words and thoughts and saying this, but I'm just putting this into perspective for those who are understanding or trying to get the metrics of both streaming platforms. Because they both do similar but different things. And I say similar because you can watch people play video games on YouTube, but Twitch is more known for gaming because you can kind of categorize how you're streaming. If I go on Twitch, I'm saying, hey, I'm streaming NBA 2K18 or NBA 2K19, whatever. On YouTube, I'm just live streaming and you come to my stream. And if you know me, you know what I'm about to play, or you'll see what I'm getting ready to get into. That's the best way I can put it. And then on the flip side of that, and then I'll go into the next story. On the flip side of that, you also have to remember, most people who do content for YouTube, it comes from Twitch or it comes from a capture source. It could be Mixer. They could record on Mixer, save that recording, chop it up, edit it, get it all fancy and cute and beautiful, and push it to YouTube. So you have it's a streaming ecosystem, whether you realize it or not, whether it's live stream or whether it's recorded stream, streaming and streaming. Just my take or my input about that. All right. Before we get into our pass of the week, weird ass of the week, and genuine ass of the week, because I still think it's a funny situation that we haven't gotten the information that people think we're going to get because we're not getting it. I want to be a man of my word because I always like to share with you all the music sesh. Now, first and foremost, let me go ahead and say before I continue that listening for me this week has been kind of chill. Mary J has a new single out called One Love, which I like. I'm personally a fan. I found out Missy had a new single called Get It, which it's Busta Rhymes, Missy Elliott, and Kelly Rowland. So if you haven't listened to that song, check it out. I've accepted and come to conclusion and just letting it be what it is. Keep the Same Energy is going to keep the same energy. It's we're getting eight tracks. on that EP. Wiz Khalifa brought out a new album, Rolling Papers 2. I like the album. Safest way to put it. Listen, if you're a Wiz Khalifa fan and you have been waiting for some new music from him, check out Wiz Khalifa. That's part of my music set that I did find. I also did find Childish Gambino had 2 singles. One was called Summertime Magic and the other one was called Feels Like Summer. Now, I'm going to save this and then I'm going to go into Past of the Week, After the Week, all that stuff. We're in a very special phase with music this point of the year. First of all, music has not been the greatest this year. Now, I will say something on my show. Some people may hear it, some people may not, but I'm going to talk about it because it's me. I was a bad media or bad voice a couple of days ago or yesterday about a show, a TV show. I didn't watch the show. I've never watched the show, but I gave bad input about it. And I have no place to do that. It's not right. It's not fair. I'll be accountable for that. I've been accountable since then. I've talked to that person, apologized, cleared the air. Music is a little different. Music, I try my best to make sure that I'm giving the listen and giving the fair assessment and then kind of discussing and kind of going into the direction of how I'm feeling about the song. So on a podcast that I listened to, the discussion or conversation came up related to summer song. Now, summer songs are tough because summer songs can change through the year. And I know that's weird to say because in some summers you can kind of say, hey, this is the song, like it, love it, leave it, whatever. We're kind of in a very tough spot because a lot of people or a lot of listens by default are going to automatically say Boot Up by Kiki. You know what? First of all, let me take that back. For a lot of people to say Boot Up, it's not by Kiki, but you get where I'm going. A lot of people have gotten tired of Boot Up. Fine. Get it. Understood. The consideration, the considerable listen that a lot of people have done the challenge for is the Kiki challenge, the Drake song. So that kind of goes into the discussion. Wild card that everybody's not going to listen to because everybody's not into his music, but it's still a trend and it kind of could mean that there's an album coming soon. We don't know. We can't speculate because artists can drop singles as Wale has dropped multiple singles since February and it's July and we still have no album. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just discussing music. But Childish Gambino did This Is America. He did these 2 tracks. Not sure if we're going to hear an album, if an album's coming this year, if he's just working on projects just to kind of kill time. But the 2 songs that he did, one of, if not both, could be summer tracks as well. So I'm just sharing that to say you will find what your summer track is. You will also find what your repeat flow is of music. I've talked to someone about this before, and I'm still kind of getting my feet wet and learning this. Pause. In figuring out the direction to go listening wise between Spotify and iTunes. And I know I wasn't initially, it's like, all right, not promoting, talking about music, but I'm gonna talk about this here as far as like streaming services. Because I know a lot of people stream and have their choices. Those who listen to the show or those who I've talked to, what is your streaming choice? What do you listen to? pastpodcastbt@gmail.com. I know I'm sharing that multiple times. You can leave a comment on the podcast page at pastpodcast.com, or if you go to Spreaker.com, you can leave a response there as well. I just want to get some input and some insight about that portion of music or listening or whatever. So that's my music sesh for the week that I was able to get. Some Fridays has been dry, so it's just catch what you get and then just kind of listen to what you know. And that's been my listen approach to a lot of music. All right. Our pass of the week this week is not a pass that I want to do, but I'm going to talk about it. I'll talk about the story, give a little bit of an overview, and they talk about it in here, so I'll just kind of go along with the story. Tragedy has hit the UCLA basketball family. Former Bruins star Billy Knight was found dead at the age of 39. The story broke on the 10th, so it was Actually last Monday. Knight played for the Bruins from 1997 to 2002. He helped UCLA reach the Sweet 16 on 4 occasions. Knight's death comes shortly after he shared a disturbing YouTube video of himself. We won't link the video, but as of this afternoon, it was still online. It did give some people did give some tweets. There were major figures who talked about the situation and what happened. They give some information about his stats. They offer, and I'm offering personally condolences to Knight's family and friends. It's not something to slight or to ignore because it's life and it's important to address. There are people who need help. And people who need help aren't going to say, hey, I need help. Sometimes the way they ask for or the way they go for the help is tough. I'm not justifying anything that anyone has done. I watched the video. I'm not going to give too much in depth about the video. What I will say is in the video, you could tell he needed help. But the challenge was no one was able to get to him regarding it because he already had in his mind where he stood and how he felt. Bluntest statement I'm going to probably say on this podcast. I know I've cursed enough, but fuck it. It's me. His headspace was fucked up. Bottom line. There's no pretty way, no cute way of putting it. You can tell that shit just was not right around him. And he really didn't know which way to go and which end was up. I share this and I say this with the mindset that I do because it may not seem like a lot, but anyone that you know, if they know that you need help, or if anyone that you know, if they're your friends or you're their friends, let them know to not let you hit that point. Or if they sense that you are close to that point, to bring you back. Something. Because it is a very tough space to be in for anybody. And I feel like what makes this even harder is him losing his life is one part of it. But I've mentioned this before. It's those around him who lose this person because of what happened that makes it even harder to address, discuss, look at, etc. And I really just, it's one of those moments where you could tell he needed someone to just talk to. But by the time he posted the video, who he was talking to, we see the video. We don't know his specific whereabouts. We don't really, there wasn't anyone who was really going to find how to get in touch with him to make things right, etc., etc. I just think we have to, and it's ironic because in my orientation where I'm starting now, I'm able to see and learn. You sometimes just have to find those small, little, simple things to do to just get through. And those little things will help you just get over whatever that hump is or whatever that headspace that you may be in. And I'm giving this attention and I'm talking about this because we can all carry ourselves and make it look like we're doing great. But those who know those who aren't doing great, we know. I'll say it like this and I'm gonna move forward. There are friends of mine who know me and know when I'm good, and they know when I'm just like not together. And or to just kind of put it in a true perspective, there are people that I will talk to and I can tell they need to talk, but they don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, yo, come on. Like, I'm not some person that you met off the street or that you just met like a couple of days ago. I've known you when you was at your lowest point. And people are going to, the challenge is when you hit the lowest point, what's next? Do you get up or do you give up? Just think about that. It might be my quote for tomorrow. So I'm laughing now only because the next story, because like I said, I don't like doing, like, it's tough because I always do Pass of the Week first and then I go into Ass of the Week, because Ass of the Week is just fun. Like, it's something that you just like, how do we see this and what would they think? So there was a baseball game and a player hit a home run. The ball, either foul ball or home run, it landed in his cup. But what you don't do is play it like the ball fell in your cup when it didn't to begin with. So one of the coolest and rarest things you can experience as a baseball fan is having a foul ball or home run land right in your beer. The reason it's so cool is because it presents the opportunity to chug the beer with the ball still in the cup while everyone around you hoots and hollers. It's fun to do and everyone loves it. And they said, this, my friends, is not how it's done. That's not how it works. You can't just pick the ball up off the floor, dunk it into your beer, and expect to become a meme. You become a meme, but you become a meme for doing it wrong, because now we know you did it wrong. And it's sad because we're in 2018 where technology is going to expose that you did it wrong. And it was just blatantly just sad. And like I said, I'm giving the personnel who's, serving Ass of the Week for that, because it was just, it was not necessary. Like, it just, no. All right. Warning, what I'm about to read has some explicit content. It's going to be a little all over the place, but I'm going to read it and explain a little bit of what happened, and we're going to have fun with this. Banks. So Azalea Banks, I did mention earlier. She claimed that the cast of Wilding Out made her cry while taping the show, and the people no one had sympathy for it. She was upset because she got roasted. She put an Instagram post up on Sunday stating that she was harassed with pre-planned colorist jokes by the cast of Wildin' Out during the taping of the show, which then caused her to cry. She said she was not scheduled to be part of the battling, which is the portion of the show where guests and the cast roast each other. However, she said she received heated insults about how she looked like being called ugly. She criticized the jokes as colorist. I did Wildin' Out, and this is on her tweet. I'm not going to, Joe, I love you. I'm not going to do the voice. I'm just going to read it. I did Wildin' Out today. There were tons of pre-planned colorist jokes, and of course, Crybaby cried. Some little scrawny black Atlanta twink was prepared for me. They planned this, hit me on short notice, told me I didn't have to participate in the coon-ass freestyle battles. Not my style. And I was to sing my song and go home. I show up and some guy who's darker than me starts calling me ugly and being colorist. Then all of a sudden, a choir of the most disgusting, basic, local, cattle call, urban pseudo-comic, fat because you sit in a chair all day, greasy soul food induced, south of the Mason-Dixon, self-hatred, ass it backwards, post-Jim Crow, post-traumatic slave disorder, true self-esteemless, ward of the states, clowns with their low-scale and highly unimpressive resumes start going off about how the beautiful Azalea Banks looks. I've never felt so much hate and rage for anyone else than I did in that moment. Yamaya was really on stage. Yamaya. However, people on social media fired back. So Yamaya was the last part. Now this is continuing the article. However, people on social media fired back. They said that Banks has bullied others, herself, and that she willingly went on a show known for comedic and sometimes brutal roasts. One of the biggest bullies went on a show where they roast people and then wants to cry. They didn't have a lot of sympathy. Nuff said, NY says, Azalea Banks went on Wildin' Out, a show about joking on people, and cried when she got joked on. Let's set a reminder to watch this episode, and everyone's waiting for the episode. Nick Cannon created the show and they murdered that person every episode. You thought you was special. I'm not going to say that word. Wild 'N Out has been on for over a decade, going on season 12. And there's never been a problem until, wait for it, Azalea Banks gets invited. One person whose tweet has gone viral commented, LOL, Wild 'N Out has been on for over a decade, going on season 12, and there's never been a problem. Oh, I'm sorry. That was it. So yeah, that tweet was posted, and then she is always and they put she is always a problem. And then there are people who come in her defense. She posted a message then saying, if I were to make fun of Nick Cannon for having lupus and being weak and sickly, if I made a joke that said he'd be dead by the end of the year, then Azalea Banks is the bad guy, right? Recurring cast member of Wild 'N Out, Emmanuel Hudson, not only took time to respond, but also continued to roast her. Azalea B came on that show, got called ugly, tried to joke back, didn't work, cried, then performed a weak ass Forever 21 shopping song. All right. Then he put in his caption, nothing more, nothing less. Literally, there were 2 jokes made about her, and they weren't even bad. It was a Cardi B reference, and she was called ugly. That's it. She tried to joke back, and it didn't work, and the producers stopped the game because they knew she was headed for the deep fry. She left after the first game, came back, and didn't say a single word to her performance. After the show, she performed a song, but the moment was ruined, so we, as the cast, started pretending to be models as she was performing, and saved her from further embarrassment. The end. She wasn't ambushed or tricked. She was just bitter and a weak special guest. All right. And I'm running into my tightrope stage, so I'm going to close out and just give some insight, and then we'll wrap it up. You got to be able to take it if you dish it. That's the nicest way I could put it. Now, I don't know the full gist of the story. I think what's crazy about it, because I saw this on my Twitter feed yesterday or last night, and I was concerned, but I was intrigued, but I also said, let's be honest, because people are like, we want to see the footage. And I feel like the footage will come out, but the footage is going to come out either in portions or unexpected. Is whether anyone realizes it or not. And I joked when I said this, but I said it on Twitter, and I hope it didn't really become too aggressively popular, but whatever it is, what it is. TMZ's going to find a way to get a hold of this and post it. Just a matter of when. Just wait. You just have to wait. And it'll be online, and it'll be a big deal, I guess, and we'll hear about it or whatever. But in that type of a show, if you're doing that type of a show, it's very few instances that I've seen where a person is going to solely sing unless they know they just aren't ready for that side of the facet. And it happens. I mean, I get that. I'm not taking that part out of the equation. But what I will take out of it is you can't be someone who is Twitter thugging or just hard in the paint 1 minute, and the next minute you get in your feelings or you get in your bag because something like this happens. It looked really bad for her, but I think what most people are waiting on is we want to see the video. What was said? What happened? I will give it a couple of days. I feel like the story we'll hear about it. It'll be seen or shown or something here, and it will confirm one of two things, one of three things. It could confirm what Azalea said. It can confirm what Emmanuel said. It could also confirm the truth. We don't know. So I'm just saying that, and I'm just sharing all of that just to share as my laptop wants to have a moment that things are going to be what they are. People are going to say what they're going to say. You can't break stuff like I'm capable of doing without it being known. But you can't be in this type of a role and not be accepting of what comes with that role or that position. If you're on a show like Wild 'N Out, you already know what time it is. Plain and simple. There's no fabricated way of putting it. And if you did not know that, you deserve an L card. And if you don't know anything about the L card, I will put it in the show notes. Or rather, I'll put it on the podcast page. How about that? So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna talk as y'all know me, I'm gonna talk my shit. But in all fairness, I'm glad everybody's tuned in. Those who've been listening to the shows, thank y'all. Content's been kicking. We're less than a week. We're less than half of the month away. We're a few weeks away, rather. I don't know why I'm making that so complicated. We're a couple of weeks away from podcasting every day in August. That's all I can tell you. I don't want to give too much away yet. Still composing topics on the fly. Also, I'm going to promote this now. On Saturday, I will be on the show, and I'm horrible. Like, this is, you know what? Fire me now. Let me give you the correct name while I'm sitting here and being a special child with special needs. I'm going to be on the Soul Gab with Ash and Jazz. Those of you who are following me on past podcasts, on Twitter, on Instagram, or Facebook, the link is in the recent, or the show is there. You can go to their page on those social media platforms to find their podcast. They record on Anchor. So if you do not have the Anchor app on your phone, please download it. I'll be appearing as a special guest this coming Saturday. So tune in for that. As I always share all the time, I'm recording these shows on Spreaker.com every week, every chance, every day, every moment. Twin Talk coming soon. I haven't forgotten. We were gonna do it yesterday. Life happens. I know I was dead tired. See if I can. What other closing house stuff I need to get out of the way? Spreaker.com/Brate Podcast. If you're looking to get any equipment, Blue Yeti microphone is where it's at. I'm going to pray that I get these birds out this background because it is killing me softly, but that's totally separate. Go to pastpodcast.com. You're going to see a weird white bar at the bottom, and then you see a button. Click on that button, subscribe, come check out the podcast. If you do not have iPhone and you're trying to get the shows on Android, I got you. I got links for y'all. Just let me know, because I want people to get the shows. If you listen on Spreaker, that's even better. Episodes uploaded, Spreaker.com, past podcasts, Blue Yeti, and the intros and the outros both are thanks to Grimecraft. Gonna be revving those up for August. It'll be a different listen. Y'all know me. I'm always changing stuff on the fly. So that's all I got. I know I'm like the weirdest, longest, most redundant outro, but thank y'all for tuning in. Keep checking out shows. Next week will be fun. It's going to be hard because I won't have no FIFA, but I got Big 3. I might throw JBA back in there. Summer League will be finishing up, and it's going to be some more crazy tech, and somebody going to do something stupid that's going to be ass of the week. So until next time, y'all take it easy. The Pass signing out. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to get any information specifically based on the shows, you can go to Spreaker.com/Brate Podcast or go to www.passpodcast.com. On both of those options, you do have the information related to what topics were talked about, the timestamps for the episode, as well as the specific links related to that specific story. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, The Pass signing out.